Hello and welcome back to the web series from Thinkshala. I'm your host, Mansi. And we have the three musketeers from Thinkshala. That's me, that's Mansi. We also have with us Smitha, who's the chief ideator at Thinkshala, and of course, the management consultant. And we also have with us Prashanth, the ideator and the trainer at Thinkshala, who's also a communications scholar. Hi, Smitha. Hi, Prashanth. You guys there? You can see me? You can hear me?
Yes,
Namaste.
hello.
Going Indian.
Welcome, welcome, welcome. Now by that, going Indian. So last week, what we saw was we saw a couple of things trending on social media. Bye bye TikTok was one of them, and because that was trending, we had vocal for local, which was also trending. Atmanirbhar was trending. But I think more than all of these things, of course, this was trending. We also saw that there was Black Lives Matter that was actually trending as well, and then there was digital divide that was also trending. So these are things that actually came into our notice at Thinkshala. And this is something that got us thinking why, how, and what next. So when this happened, I think we rushed back to do some bit of research, and at least I'm just going to read out from Wikipedia on because it really gives us what exactly is digital divide. So digital divide is an uneven distribution in the access to or use of or impact of information and communication technologies. That's ICT between any number of distinct groups. So it talks about who, with which characteristics connects how to what. So to give you examples, who is the subject that connects, what characteristics or what attributes are distinguished to describe the divide, how sophisticated is the usage, and to what does the subject connect. So these are things that Wikipedia put together. So I think that gives us a context on what is happening. So today we want to talk about digital divide. Okay, that's happening in India right now. That's happening all around us. While on one hand we are seeing that we've got universities which are done with their exams and have already published results and the graduates are looking for a job. On the other hand, we've got universities where people are still struggling to finish portions. So in this hand we have an important news that has come up, and I'm going to give this over to Prashant to tell us what exactly is this news and what are we supposed to do. Prashant, are you there?
Yes.
Please
Thank you,
take us
Mansi.
forward.
I like the initiation because you started talking about digital migrants at the same time, where how internet is actually trying to divide the entire society into two framework. But actually, I want to give one more dimension for our discussion. I somewhere feel that we should even talk about public sector and private sector. I think in this context, why I want to mention is that immediately after the pandemic outbreak in the country, very seriously, Government of India has announced that all state level board exams, recruitment exams, university level exams, okay, everything across the country was postponed, and there was a major discussion happening upon SLC and PU exams also, which we are every day seeing in and out in all the news channels and newspapers. So when everybody is trying to debate upon whether we should conduct exams, whether we should really look for any kind of uh, getting initiating the process of admission. So there are so many things which is actually conflicting, and when the entire society is looking for what is going to happen next in education sector, two things pops up in my mind. One end, still many of the public universities which is run by government are actually thinking of when to complete their portions. Okay, should we conduct any kind of online test, or should we think of conducting online exams? On the other end, I can find that very easily that we have government private institutions which have conducted their exams online, which have published their results. At the same time, they are already ready to start their new semester also. So two different extremes which is happening in front of us. On the other end, where private government of India have already declared, and it has given instructions not to it has given instruction not to initiate any kind of admission activities. Okay, when it comes to private universities, already they have conducted online exams. They've shortlisted the candidates who's going to be part of their coming year the course. At the same time, they're given options of selecting different campuses if they're not getting option to study in metro and cosmo cities. Okay, I think this is actually quite jumbled in one way. In other end, I feel it is actually creating the entire society into a very strong division of public and private, or I should say urban and rural.
Wow. Look at the divide. How startling. That's a huge difference, right? It's very startling right on the face. That's a huge difference to have. And that's not. See, I understand that there are certain divides, but then when the division is because of lack of infrastructure or money driven, and when people become helpless. Today we are talking here, imagine those people who are actually going through this. Okay, I don't know what is the trauma that they can feel because it's a career. I mean, in India, we take studies really seriously. It's like do or die, right? So, considering that, Smita, you are also taking exams, aren't you? You're also enrolled in universities, and I'm sure you're already going through this dilemma. So, what's your
Yes.
opinion on this?
Okay. Yes, this is the digital divide what we are talking about, and this is not only limited to India. Even in the US, there is there is a sizable, bunch of people, percentage of people who do not have internet connectivity, right? So here in India, we have a different kind because India lives in her villages, and the villages have been migrating to the urban areas in search of jobs and also education. But the pandemic has sent all of them back to their natives, right? And these natives are not equipped to take the digital revolution as such as of today. We have a very big divide there. Rather, I would say the digital divide can be divided into two varieties. One is the digital literacy divide, which you can find amongst the affordable digital infrastructure, affordable population itself. And then we have the digital accessibility divide. That there comes the remote areas where there is no internet or other digital connectivity. So when we come to the first type, we have the people where I have the gadget, but I cannot use it. I just can use it a minimum, right? So we divide them into digital migrants. Maybe it is I may fall into that category where I'm trying to learn these new technology and try to use the minimum of it to make my life and work easier. Okay, and then comes the digital natives, that is the millennials and the Generation Z. So they are very comfortable here, right? But as you mentioned, I'm a student belonging to digital migrant. Okay. So the online exams or whatever the universities or the colleges are planning to do might be very comfortable for digital natives if they have the technology with them, right? Technology affordability with they have it. Coming to the digital accessibility, yes, we have the majority of Indians living in the villages, and the internet density is very less there. It is just 25% compared to 98% in the urban areas. And in one of the surveys, an NGO called Jan Sahas, the significant number of distress calls received was for the want of connectivity, that is your sim card accounts recharging of your sim cards. This was a distress call an NGO gets. That is during the pandemic. Okay, why? Because this was by the students. I feel it is the students who were forced into online classes. So wherever they are in the fields or in the barn or in the farm, wherever they are sitting, they have to. I think in one of the days in the newspaper, there was a big photo of an young student sitting among, with all the haystacks around him, with his mobile phone and a solar lantern in Arunachal Pradesh. Okay, he's attending online classes on that mobile. So this is the scenario we have. And now the universities are asking for exams. Exam time, please write it. So we are going to take it online. I
This is
find
so scary.
it is
This is
not
very scary,
scary.
isn't it?
I was thinking if because as we do not see an end to the pandemic, it becomes scary. Oh my goodness, is this going to be
True.
like this? I'll tell you, there are people who have already decided that I'm going to drop out of this particular course. If this is what is going to happen, then this is not for me. I should change my course. So this is the scenario today. This is the hard truth.
It's really sad. It's really sad that people are taking career changing decisions because of this pandemic, and the way they have been pushed to the corner
Yes,
and asked to take decisions is, I mean, that helplessness is something that nobody should capitalize on.
very much.
It's happening. So Prashant, I want to quickly get back to you for some statistics. So we were discussing a couple of things before we started off. So do you want to dwell on that? Do you want to talk about some numbers here, throw some light on the numbers here, please?
Mansi, I just want to, before talking about the statistic, I just want to talk about two facts. Now, in one end, we gave a very clear demark between how somebody has access to internet and how they are trying to fill the education gap. On the other end, we try to understand that how this delay in the admission process is gonna restructure the entire cycle. Okay, entire cycle of education itself. Okay, this is quite interesting. This is for the new admissions we can think of. But when it comes for the recurring courses, already the classes have been started. When it comes for private schools, already they have started sharing materials on the WhatsApp groups. They have started circulating class-wise. They are trying to monitor the students on WhatsApp, and there are Zoom classes which has been scheduled. I mean, there are many other online platforms has been used to teach class 1 to class 12. Imagine, I'm talking about the kids who is of class 1, class 2 is also forced to attend the classes, and they're forced to sit in front of their laptop or the system for hours together. Okay, now I was thinking, fine, private institutions, affordability, internet access, all these questions come in front of us to understand how this education gap has been filled among urban population. Now, what is the condition of this rural population was something which it was, I mean, lingering in my mind.
Tell me more, Prashant.
So, when it comes to rural schools, I interacted with couple of schools which I'm associated.
Mm-hmm.
When I spoke to those schools, first thing is that the management told that they don't have any kind of instructions and facilities to conduct online classes. Secondly, the teachers are not equipped to conduct online classes, and moreover, there is no participation from student end also. Okay, so the last 6 months, there is a great education gap among rural kids. Okay, now what are the repercussions which is gonna outbreak? One is that they're completely disconnected with the activities which they're supposed to do. Secondly, where learning is in a continuous process. Okay, a small break also is gonna have a very huge difference. Okay,
Yes,
there's a very
yes.
popular say which say that, if I don't get educated, I mean, if I'm not updated today, I'm illiterate tomorrow. So because I strongly feel that a gap of 6 months or 1 year is going to be a strong it is going to create a very strong impact in terms of their learning also. It can be in terms of their cognitive, behavioral, understanding the subject. Many other aspects comes in the picture when we try to talk about this particular education gap. On the other end, already there are students who are ready in the they're given their they're waiting to give their exams and join for their career. Now, imagine now there is going to be almost like 6 months to one year of lagging period in terms of getting their opportunities. Now, how it is going to create impact in terms of their life cycle? This was another question which popped up in my mind when we initiated our discussions. I just want, I mean, both of you to share your views on my perspectives.
Yes, go
Natalia, you
ahead,
want to go
Mansi.
first? No, no, go ahead, go ahead.
No, you go ahead.
Um, Prashant, actually, I'm Yes, there's a definite digital divide, and I'm somebody who wants to look forward to life. I'm somebody who's a little positive all the time, and I'm somebody who wants to look at weaknesses as our strengths. Okay, so I want to look at it in a very different perspective right now. I'm very glad that it is happening at one point of time, because if you see already the MNCs, I think we've discussed this, the MNCs are already looking at not recruiting people from metropolitan areas and looking for people in the rural areas itself. Okay, if they are educated enough, that's good enough, not even skilled. Okay, if they're educated enough, that's good enough, only because their attitude itself is very different to life. Okay, now I'm going to bank on this attitude and say that can we look at education very differently? Can we not teach things to people that they don't need in life? I still remember that my 10th standard had a blast furnace, which I have no clue about, and it took away my happiness completely until I cried. And I don't know what it is even today, and I don't care. I've never come across one. Right? So, do you? Is it even possible that during this pandemic times, is it possible to just change the entire scenario and look at things that are really required? Okay, because see, if we go on like this, today it is a digital divide. Trust me, years ago this was a caste system. We are heading there. Okay, and if we are not going to consciously utilize this as an opportunity and think this is our weakness, then we will head there. It's just a matter of time. That time it was a caste system. We have taken 65 years to get over that. Okay, it cannot be like that anymore. It should not be like that. We are heading there. Digital divide could become the new caste system, and it should not be. Helplessness cannot be treated as something that somebody else can take advantage of. We should look at fair opportunities. And so, considering that, I mean, I want to look at it a little more positively, because if this is taken up as an opportunity and the strength, trust me, the rural people, the people, I wouldn't say rural people as such, anybody who does not have access to internet and infrastructure will start thinking differently. Innovation will come in because they know they have to get the daily bread. Okay, they will find their ways of doing it. That's evolution. That's there in us. Okay, so I want to look at it that way. But I think I'm going to wait for what Smitha has to say on this.
This what you are speaking about okay, a revolutionary idea about revamping and rethinking on how the whole education system or the syllabus itself is about, brings to mind Nai Talim by Gandhiji. Okay, and I think somewhere we all need to visit that chapter of Gandhi's life. It's a very interesting read. Um, when he experimented, and he was very successful also. And yes, as the students have gone back to their villages or their native place, or the children who are stuck here within the four walls of the urban cities, uh, we can explore a different way. We can explore more life skills than book skills. Nowadays, it has become online skills, right? So this Naitalim can be revisited, I would say. Okay. Coming to there is, yes, the divide is going to be the scariest part there. We are going to create one more divide, and that is not a fair one. We have to be careful about it. And I think to an extent that has been addressed in countries like US, where I read in one of the articles that the companies are are hiring people from not from the main cities but from the remote areas, because they are saving. One is that they have to invest on providing them proper connectivity infrastructure that is there. That is a one-time investment they are doing. In turn, what they are getting is they are saving a lot on salaries, paying these people in these local areas where cost of living is much lower than in the metropolitan cities. And also because these people will not be working from any establishment or any particular office space. They will be working from home, so that cost is also saved for both. It is for the both employer and the employee. So this is a trend which is happening, right? So I think we also need to, and this brings me to this particular this thing, that one district, one product initiative of the Uttar Pradesh government. I think we also should look into such things where the people who have gone back should not feel distressed, because
Of course.
as we are
No doubt
saying that
about it.
there is no end scene.
So
This is
true.
like
So true.
being
I
on a
mean,
ship.
it's like, yeah, I mean, as you said, I think these are initiatives that will slowly start coming up. Of course, as I said, I mean, helplessness will drive
Yes.
you to such innovations probably. So, getting back, I think somewhere we went a little away from education, since we're talking about the digital divide and probably the exams that are coming up, and the fear and the confusion that's there, and the frustration that is going to come in. Prashanth, what do you think is going to be the scenario? I'm going to ask this question to you because you are dealing with students day in and day out, and you're doing those webinars day in and day out. National level webinars and state level webinars from the university. Um, so tell us something. Where is this heading? What do you think is going to happen next?
Mansi, actually, you gave a new dimension for the entire conversation what we had, talking about, how just regular our curriculum, okay, which we are following, is all having a framework. You were asking that why don't we break the framework and have skill-based education? You emphasized upon. Okay, I really like the concept of skill-based education. Actually, this makes me to recall a research survey which was done in 2018, okay, by an organization called as ASER among 22,000 village school students. What do they say is that almost like 80% of class 3 students can't do basic arithmetic. Okay, and almost like 70%, okay, 70% of class 7 class 8 students is not able to frame sentence, okay, in whole. Imagine, I'm talking about the students where the sample was representing all 22,000 villages all over the country, and at the class 7 and class 8 they were not able to frame sentence.
Is
Okay.
it because of the regional language and the English divide, or is it that they did not have the capability at all?
I would consider that it is not a question of capability, because we know that anybody is being trained in a particular
Exactly.
pattern, and we can ensure that even a stone can start talking. Okay,
Very true.
but
Exactly.
one effort which I found is that I think I remember our visit to Isha Foundation when we did a workshop at Isha Foundation, which was close to almost like 250 kilometers away from Bangalore. It was a remote village. When we went to that particular school, we saw those rural kids have participated in Spellbee and national level. Imagine. So it is not a question of capability. I think we should really question about the system of training. At the same time, we're supposed to question about the curriculum and the data which were material which we're using for training. And I would say that even what kind of structure we have framework at school level to train the kids, all these things come as a whole, and which actually creates a lapses in terms of training the kids. I felt
Interesting.
because
That's a very
because
interesting thought.
somewhere very interestingly, I just found that almost like close to 12 lakh engineers pass out every year.
Right.
Okay, it's a very huge number. I think Smitha ma'am is a engineer. She knows better than me. Okay, 12 lakh engineer passing out. When it comes to the placement record, it is not even 2.5 lakhs at campus level. Not even 4 lakhs at okay recruitment level. Imagine. So where
Exactly.
do this remaining 8 lakh students end up? Okay, I'm just
Okay.
talking about engineering
So there
graduates.
is a big lot. There is a big lot who go back to their roots or go back to their family businesses. And yes, they are not lost. Prashant, they are not lost. so,
Right. No, but
so
the very
there
fact
is
that,
a, yeah, there are many. I have my own classmates who have gone back to agriculture. Yes.
Very
So
interesting.
engineers, agriculture, yeah, it's very common nowadays. So this is, means in the sense they are not lost. Yes, but the one thing is that they wanted to be engineers, but they turned out to be something else. That point can be taken, which again talks about the blast furnace. The Mansi was unable to understand and still is in dark about how it works, right? So in the sense that the education way, how we are learning it, has to change, right?
Definitely,
That's
definitely.
all. I think
I
that
think
is ye-
right. I think with that, due to lack of time, I
yes,
think with that we would want to close. So the one thing that we all agreed upon today, and things that we've been listening to, is if we do not change, COVID is just one virus. We don't know how many more will emerge after this, only because the way we've been living in the last probably 100 years is has nothing to do with the environment. We are not even thinking about nature. Okay, so considering that this is just one of the kinds, there will be more that's going to come in, maybe not health wise, but probably different challenges which will, ensure that we are going to be divided like crazy, unless of course we go back to our roots and figure out what is it that we want, how can we coexist with nature. I think this is the only question all of us need to answer. I don't think we have to answer, we are not answerable as human beings,
yes,
as parents, as students, as teachers, as anybody in the world. I don't think there is any other question that needs to be answered except that how can we coexist with nature. That's what we need to answer. And with that, I think it will solve a lot of trauma for sure. The running rate, the rat race, the running race, I think that will come to an end. And also, I think it'll keep us happier because we'll be doing things that we want to do at the end of the day. So, thank you so much, Smita, for your time, and thank you so much, Prashant, for your time. I think this was a fantastic discussion. I really, really hope that we revisit our syllabuses, we revisit the way things are being taught, we revisit the entire education system in India itself, to incorporate such pandemics and many more that's going to come, and still be able to do a vocal for local, be Atmanirbhar, be happier at these times. So I
yes.
hope we do see these days. Thank you so much for coming, and I'm sure people
Before
have
you
their own
wind up,
opinions.
Mansi,
Yes,
before
please.
you wind up, I just really urge that there is already a lot of divisions in the society in the name of caste, creed, religion, and many more. Okay, I think we should never give one more division in the name of technology,
True.
which is going to actually
Yes,
disconnect a major population in the country. I think that
Very
should be
true.
seriously looked upon all the private entity and government entity to connect and make them one.
yes.
Smita, any parting thoughts?
This pandemic actually has given the much needed pause in all our lives. It has, asked us to pause, think what you're doing. Is it right? Do you still want to continue doing it? I think we have to use this pause.
Very true. Very true. So pandemic has given us an opportunity. It is not a threat. It's not our weakness. It has to be our strength. We have to stop doing whatever we're doing, give it a thought, and move forward in the most friendliest way. Okay, I'm sure all of you have your own opinion, those who are watching. So if you have opinions, you could leave it in the comment section right here, and we would be happy to address that. And if we find that you have radical ideas which are innovative, you could be on our show next. So that's something that you need to look into. So please do comment and share our thoughts, share your thoughts. And with that, we come to the end of this episode. Thank you for watching. And you can write to us on thinkshala@gmail.com. That's THINKSHALA@gmail.com. We are also available on Instagram, Facebook, LinkedIn, and Twitter. You could get in touch with us there as well with the same name. That's Thinkshala, THINKSHALA. Thank you so much for watching.
Thank you.